The White House didn't mince its words over the decision to cancel the invitation. A spokesman working with National Security Advisor Susan Rice cited several factors: the renewal of fighting, Vice President Riek Machar's unwillingness to make compromises on security sector reform, and the government's decision to create 28 new states, which it says stands in violation of the spirit of the peace agreement. The White House bluntly added that they won't be invited back until they demonstrate a stronger commitment to promoting peace in South Sudan. A spokesman for Riek Machar's opposition faction told the Sudan Tribune in response that it was unfortunate that he was not accorded a hearing by the White House before the judgment, and that they should have given him the chance to clarify to them matters pertaining to the security arrangements. Instead, the leaders met with US Secretary of State John Kerry and US Special Envoy Don Booth. The State Department says Kerry expressed serious concern about the renewed fighting in Unity State, saying it cannot be tolerated, and he urged all parties to respect the ceasefire. He also said they should be finalizing security arrangements for Juba, creating institutions to oversee the permanent ceasefire, and not to take decisions on actions which could undermine the agreement. Daniel Wrenches, CCTV, Washington.
We can get more insights now on the implementation of that deal, and I'm joined in studio here in Nairobi by South Sudan's Foreign Minister Barnaba Marial Benjamin. Minister, thank you very much for joining us here on Africa Live. We've just heard, though, that there is really not a strong commitment at this point to promoting peace in South Sudan. Can you give us an indication, though, what is the status of the implementation of the peace deal signed by both President Salva Kiir and the opposition?
I would like to thank you for this invitation. What I would say, when President Salva Kiir did sign the peace agreement on the 26th of August 2015, it was a commitment that this peace process will be implemented, and has the commitment of the government. 72 hours after the president signed the peace agreement, he immediately declared a permanent ceasefire across the whole country, ordering all the SPLA forces of the government to stay put except to respond in self-defense. That is one. Two, he equally also took the peace process to the Council of Ministers in order to get its support and approval, and the Council of Ministers approved the peace process, and then was taken to the Parliament for rectification. And immediately he ordered the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the SPLA to identify 25 kilometers outside Juba, so that for the troops to be moved in as required by the peace agreement. And on top of that, the presidential unit, which was supposed to be 17,000 troops inside Juba, he immediately also gave orders that only 6,000 would remain, although that was not a part of the agreement. I think this is a commitment on the side of the government that we are serious to implement this peace agreement. Not only that, he went across the whole country. He called the whole leadership of the army to express to them the importance that the government is committed to implement this peace agreement, because our people need peace. So what more commitment that can be done by a government, a democratically elected government, more than that? I think we are committed to implement that.
All right. We've just heard, though, Minister Marial, we've just heard from the United States that there is concern that neither party up to this point has complied with the ceasefire agreement, particularly the fighting there. What's going on?
I think this is not true. I think this is an assumption which is always taken, because they have not put down the monitors and some units for monitoring and verification. So these are reports which are collected from individuals, but the government is committed. We have not violated. Since the cessation of hostilities was signed, the government had adhered to that. The government only responds like any sovereign authority. Our constitution empowers the Army of the Republic of South Sudan to maintain the sovereignty of that country. There has never been any violation on the side of the government. What has happened was the rebels violated the agreement and attacked government positions, and it is the constitutional right and authority of any government to defend the sovereignty of an independent state.
All right.
So what they're saying is not true.
We're also looking at reports here of the withdrawal of Ugandan troops now from South Sudan, the demilitarization of Juba and withdrawal of foreign troops. That was among the key initial steps outlined in the deal. But there still appears to be a little bit of some confusion over the withdrawal of Ugandan troops despite the deadline for their withdrawal lapsing today. What's the government's position on this issue?
The government position, there is an African task force which was empowered by the African Union and the IGAD. The African task force was consisting of Ugandan forces, the SPLA forces of the Republic of South Sudan, and the DRC forces in order to get rid of the existence of Lord Resistance Army in the territory. It is even involving American intelligence forces that are empowered to remain in Western Equatoria in South Sudan to push out the presence of Lord Resistance Army in the area. So there is a legal presence of those forces. Secondly, the South Sudan as an independent state, we have bilateral agreement with the Ugandan government. Ugandan government is involved with the Republic of South Sudan in protecting our trade routes between Uganda and South Sudan. You know, we are the second largest trading partner to Uganda, that is to United Kingdom, in as far as Uganda is concerned. So we have got our economic interests we protected. What we said is that within the peace agreement, the withdrawal will be done as agreed in the agreement. You don't just withdraw troops like you are just withdrawing school children from a school. It takes time. There are logistics to be involved. People must be patient with that and know that there are regulations. South Sudan is a sovereign authority, and we are supposed to be respected and our own sovereignty. And I think this should not be an issue, really.
All right, Minister, we're also seeing you know, that 3 South Sudanese leaders have had their invitation cancelled by the White House abruptly this week in Washington. Now, South Sudan's leaders have come under pressure in the lead up to the signing of the peace deal and now during the implementation period. What's your view, though, on this, especially in the light of the treatment of both the Vice President and the opposition leader during that recent U.S. visit?
I think the Vice President should be respected to get a listening ear from the White House. I cannot vouch for the rebels, definitely. But I think it would have been right for the National Security Advisor, who is a person greatly respected in South Sudan, that is Susan Rice, to listen to the position of the government. Because we have come with them from a very long time. I think that was not appropriate, but in a way that was the decision of the White House. But I thought it was not properly advised. Her Excellency should have met the delegation so that she is updated as to the commitment, especially on the side of the government. We are committed. We have relations with the United States. We talk to each other. And I think for a vice president of a country to cancel that meeting when he's going carrying good news for the State House, I thought it was inappropriate. But that is their decision.
All right. South Sudan's Foreign Minister there, Benjamin Marial, speaking to us from Nairobi. Thank you very much for joining us, Minister.